Hey movers, shakers, and the stuck but curious. I'm Freya Gordon, and this is Good Shift, the podcast that helps you figure out what's next in your career and make a move with confidence. Hey friends, welcome back. Today I'm sitting down with two women who left their corporate careers to build their own sunscreen startup, and they're doing it in real time. If you want to know what it actually looks like to go from corporate job to co-founder, then this is it. One of the biggest things that comes through in this conversation is that if you don't take the leap now, you may never take it. So if you've been sitting on an idea waiting for the right time, this might be the push that you need. Megan Black and Eliana Field-Marsham are childhood friends turned co-founders of Sonni, a next-generation sun care brand rethinking mineral sunscreen and making it something that people actually want to wear every day. They launched just 6 months ago, and they've already had moments that early-stage brands dream about, like being featured in a small business spotlight at Madison Square Garden during a Knicks game. Pretty cool. Before Sonni, they were both building impressive corporate careers. Megan was in beauty at Estée Lauder in New York before heading to Kellogg for her MBA, where she started developing the concept for Sonni. Eliana studied at Stanford, started at McKinsey, and then moved into the startup life at Little Spoon, where she discovered how much she loved building something from the ground up. When Eliana wanted to test the waters of being inside a very early stage startup, Megan welcomed her in to check it out. That quickly evolved into a co-founding partnership, both of them seeing the value and excitement in building this together. Their story shows that sometimes the shift isn't about escaping something terrible. It's about recognizing there may be more exciting ways to spend your days, which I know a lot of you can relate to. So Megan and Eliana, welcome to Good Shift. I'm so excited to both have you here in New York in the studio today.
Thank you for having us.
We're so excited to be here.
So let's get into it. I would love to start by understanding both of your stories a little bit better, because this podcast is really about how people make shifts in their careers, and you two are both a fabulous example. So Megan, let's start with you. You were working at Estée Lauder in New York before going to business school. What did that actually look like day to day? And when you reflect on it, what parts energized you and what parts felt like they might be misaligned?
Totally. So I started my career at Estée Lauder. I was working on the global e-commerce strategy team, which really meant that, in New York, there's like 5 different Estée Lauder offices. I was in one that was just focused on e-commerce, and I was working on the whole portfolio of brands. They have 25 plus that they own, and working in a global context. So it essentially was like corporate strategy, but just for the e-commerce side of all of the businesses. And it was so interesting. I always knew I liked consumer products, but being able to work on this set of brands where I was the ideal consumer for them, I loved that. And I really was able to resonate with the consumer and all of the different marketing and kind of different strategies we were doing. I also really loved getting to know the personalities of each brand. While there are 25 of them and they're all premium beauty, it was really fun to learn about kind of the little bits of each brand that consumers really got behind, whether it was Aveda being, really kind of natural and organic, or MAC being, for runway makeup. It was great working across all of the brands, but I really wanted to get in more closely to one in particular.
And what did that feel like, wanting to get more closely into one? Because for people who are sitting in their corporate jobs thinking, oh, okay, maybe that's me, I want to get closer into something. How did you know that would be for you?
Yeah, I think the things that excited me most in that role were when we were really kind of, this sounds silly, but Aveda had so many stores in New York. And so we were trying to come up with ways for consumers to go into the store, to, buy online, pick up in store, or return in store, and doing these things that were, minor little features, but it was cool to work directly with the team and really think about the Aveda consumer in particular, rather than when you're that level up globally in strategy. It's a lot of slide decks on a lot of, big finance numbers that are just, you're trying to have steady growth and take market share from other brands, but it's not, it's just so much higher level.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really common theme, is the slide decks. Once you get to a certain level and everyone references the slide decks and why is this all that my work has turned into? And so when you were wanting to dive into getting more personal with a brand, what were the other feelings that felt like something might not be right? Or was it just that you wanted to do something different?
I think I had always been so obsessed with startups and seeing what was next. And like I followed, beauty startup news so closely. I really did love my job at Estee, but I felt like it was time for me to do something a little scrappier, a little bit more kind of less prescribed, and like, it felt very like 9 to 5. I knew what I was doing. I knew the big goals we were working towards, but I wanted to really like change the pace of my life.
How long were you there for?
I was there for almost 4 years.
Okay, cool. And how did you turn that feeling into actually taking action and leaving?
Yeah, so I actually was on a fantastic team at Estee, and I still keep in touch with them. It was random. It was the online strategy and omni-channel team at Estee Lauder was very entrepreneurial, and actually 4+ of my coworkers have gone on to be presidents and CEOs and founders of their own companies. And so there was just a culture there that we were all kind of like, what's going to be the next step? And all of them had gone to business school previously. So I was like significantly younger, but I always saw like business school as an interesting step I could take to try to get some of these skills, especially since my undergrad was I was a communication major and a business minor. So I knew I needed a bit more business skills to be able to run a company myself.
And what about handing in the resignation? Did that feel like you were taking a leap off a cliff, or did it feel like it was the right time to do that and you felt confidence with that?
I did hand it in once I had gotten into business school. So I knew that was happening, and I had a good reason to leave. But I still was so panicked. Like I practiced my little spiel like 50 times. But yeah, it felt good once I did it. But I was definitely really nervous about like leaving a job I liked so much.
Why do you guys think that we panic so much when leaving a job, even if we feel like it's the right thing?
It's not just a job for many people. It's, a community. It's like a group of friends you've, created and relationships. And there is such an unknown there when you're about to quit, where you're like, are they going to hate me? Are they never going to want to talk to me again? Like there is a fear of maybe losing more than just the role itself, but also just like this community.
Yeah, I think that's so right what you say about the community, because like they are your friends and you don't want to let them down. You don't want people to not like you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's such a fear of disappointing people you care about. And also, I think it leads to the common trope of like, maybe I just think the grass is greener, but like, what if I leave and I try something new, but what I had, I loved and was amazing and like was better than anything I could do next. Mm-hmm. Like, it's very scary to leave something that you love versus leaving something that you don't like and knowing that like anything will be better.
Yeah, okay. Let's dive into your story now, Eliana, because I know that you've left something that you've loved as well. So your path started at Stanford, then you went to McKinsey before moving into the startup world at Little Spoon, and then going to business school. So when you were making those early career decisions, what was the plan or mindset driving you to make those shifts?
Yeah. Early on, I really just optimized for learning as much as I could. So leaving Stanford for undergrad, I had literally no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I thought that consulting would really help me answer that question, and that McKinsey would just give me an amazing toolkit and like set me up for the rest of my career. So that made that career decision. Then at McKinsey, it was pretty obvious to me quickly that the industry I was really excited about was consumer. And so then I was like, okay, I want to go into a consumer company, really learn more, build it from the ground up. And Little Spoon was the perfect opportunity. It was a mission I really cared about. It was an amazing team. I knew I was going to have a great boss. And the role was perfect for what I was looking for. It was a very cross-functional role. I managed all of our big cross-functional projects, worked really closely with our operations team, our product development team to launch products, and with our CEO as like a sort of chief of staff for strategic things. And I absolutely loved it. So leaving that was so scary and so sad and so hard. But again, I basically looked at the two founders, Ben and Angela, whom I love, and they're such role models for me. And I was like, I know that I want to be them when I grow up. And in order to be them, I need to start my own company and really take the leap of faith for me, it was like, go to business school, really figure out what that's going to be, build out my toolkit again, and then found something. And I was also lucky that they were incredibly supportive and saw that vision for me too, and really helped me take that leap.
So tell me about when you left McKinsey. How did you feel about that?
Yeah. McKinsey, I felt more ready to leave. I sort of got to the point where I think I had learned a ton and I got so much value from the job, but I was waking up on Mondays and even during the week, and I was really dreading working. And one of the biggest pieces of career advice that my dad gave us growing up was that if you wake up dreading your job, you need a new job. And so I just kept hearing that in the back of my mind. And at the same time, I had approached the 2-year mark at McKinsey, which is when a lot of people leave and consider what's next. And I had a lot of interesting companies in my DMs. So it kind of felt like everything was happening at once and it just was the right time.
Wow, that is seriously good advice from your dad.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have been running this podcast. So it's quite interesting. Both of you knew that you had a passion or interest in consumer products. How did you know that? Because so many people may have many interests, but they don't know how to put that into a career path. So can you tell me how you realized that there was a career potential?
It's like a really good question. I think that for me, at least, like going to college, I was at USC, so I was in LA. I had the opportunity to, do internships during the year with lots of businesses that are in LA. And so I ended up working at Thrive Market and Kind Bars, like Kind Snacks, and RGA and IBM. And I had the opportunity to kind of like see what I found the most interesting. I learned at Thrive Market and Kind Snacks that like I really loved food and working on things that I could understand and conceptualize and like hold in my hand. At IBM, I learned that I did not like companies of 400,000 people. And I didn't like technology in a way where I couldn't like conceptualize it really, what they were doing. And at RGA, I learned, it's an ad agency, I was doing like business strategy for them. I realized I really liked kind of the idea of like creating strategies for big incumbent brands to try to compete with small agile startups. That summer, I was actually working with Campbell's Soup. And it was so random, but they were trying to figure out like, this was in 2016. They were like, what's our AI strategy in marketing? And I was like, if you at that time Googled AI in marketing, nothing came up, like actually nothing. I read every article that existed and there were like 10. So they were kind of ahead of the curve and it was like a really interesting project. But through all these experiences, I just realized that like the more tangible something is and the more I connect to the consumer of a brand, the more excited I am. So I think for me, that was how I realized.
Yeah, a lot of testing and learning.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
Yeah. Oh God, it's so hard to remember. I think I've always been really interested in how people think and behave and why they think and behave certain ways. Like that's what I was interested in high school. And in high school is more like the marketing side. Like I was obsessed with Nike ads. Like I would watch them every day for fun. I like wrote my, the big extended essay in high school. Yeah. Like we had this really big essay you had to write in high school and I wrote mine on Nike ads. Like I just thought it was fascinating. And then when I went to college, I studied sociology and I took a bunch of psychology classes and I just loved it. So I think like that for me is where it stemmed from. And then going into the working world at McKinsey, trying different industries, consumer was really the one where you're just constantly thinking about what people like, what people choose, why do they choose what they choose. And it has a piece of like, I also love building things and consumers, like you're building a product. And like Megan said, it's tangible. Like you can see it, you can touch it. It's something that I would buy and use and feel. And so I loved it.
Megan, when you said that you now wake up and you're building Sonni, you literally jump out of bed, excited to see what happens overnight, which is a very good shift. What's different from when you were working in your corporate job?
Yeah, I think like really the difference with startups is the feedback loop and like the time to see results. And so what I love is that I do wake up and jump out of bed and I'm like, well, what happened? And it's because like, between like the fact I still have Shopify notifications on, so I get a little like ka-ching every time anyone buys anything. Or just like the fact you can come up with an idea on Monday and by Wednesday you have like a great draft of how you're gonna, bring it online. And then by Friday it's launched and people are already reacting to it. Like that kind of ability to very quickly iterate on things and see how they're moving, it just gets me going. I've never been someone that likes a slow pace of like I wouldn't say I'm very like steady or needing steadiness in my work life or just life. But with Sonni, it's just so exciting because I feel like Ellie and I text all day long and I'll be like, oh my God, big order coming through. Like, oh God, look, check your email, insane email. Like it's so fun to like have so many updates happening every day and like to really get to see things through very, very quickly in a way that in corporate, that never happened.
What is the biggest order that you guys have had?
It's a good question. We just got our biggest wholesale order this past week.
Yeah.
It was like 1,000 plus.
Wow.
We're on Fair, which is like the back end of Shopify for wholesale. And we've been getting these like small orders because our minimum size of order we were like playing with. But then someone just kind of went with a huge order. So excited to see that at a boutique soon.
Yeah.
And tell me about that feeling of getting that 1,000 plus order.
I mean, we were just like, oh my God, wait, how did they, like, why, where, when, like, how do we find them? Like, can we go?
Yeah, it was crazy. We were like, they bought over 50 products. Like, there's just going to be a store. And then we're trying to picture, we're like, there's going to be a store with like 50 Sonni products just on the, display.
Yeah.
On the shelves, that's the word. And yeah, we were like going crazy trying to be like detectives. We were like, where is this store? What does it look like? Like zooming in on Google Maps.
Okay, well, watch this space. Everyone can jump onto your socials and keep up with it. Eliana, you said that when you're making a big life decision, you think about your 85-year-old self, which I absolutely love. So how did that way of thinking influence your decision to leave a job that you loved at Little Spoon without knowing exactly what would come next?
Yeah, I think that way of thinking really helps me separate between fear and potential regret and really optimizing more for avoiding regret instead of just being afraid. And that really helped me with Little Spoon because I was so sad to leave. I was really scared about what was next and like if whatever I did next was going to make me as happy as what I had at Little Spoon. But I just pictured myself older and I was like, there's a chance that I regret not taking this leap and not trying this. And so I need to do it. And I really just reframed and was like, just because this is an amazing chapter, it doesn't need to mean that it's the final chapter.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit more about that reframing because so many people would be thinking, I'm about to lose an amazing opportunity that I've been able to get. I love the people, as you said, and something else might not be this good.
Yeah, I think I just had to really be like, this is so amazing, but if I know that I want something different, like at the end of the day, like I knew that I wanted to be Ben and Angela. And I was like, I can't do that if I stay at Little Spoon because it will never be my company and like what I got to build. And I think that helped motivate me. And also just the knowledge that it was this amazing community and people who I really loved. And I felt like I could always, maybe not always, but like I felt like I could go back. And it wasn't necessarily just like a one-way door that I was leaving. And just the knowledge, like if I found something this amazing so young, like surely I can find that again. Like it's not just a once in a lifetime opportunity to have a job you love.
Oh, I love that. So for someone thinking about entering the startup world, which a lot of people are, but so many people don't know that much about it, what was it about you and the way that you worked that made you feel like that would be a good fit for you and that made it a good fit for you? Just for other people listening, wondering whether a startup is the right environment for them.
Yeah. I think in terms of ways of working, some people really, like stability and certainty, but I'm not that way. I actually really get energized by building something new and having every day and every hour look entirely different. So that like ways of working wise really works for me for a startup. And then on the culture side, I just found that I feel so much more comfortable and happy in an environment where it feels like a really tight-knit, almost like family vibe, which you get at a startup, and I just didn't feel in bigger corporate companies.
And for people who might be considering leaving a corporate role to join a startup, what are a few realities that they should be aware of before making the shift?
I think it goes back to what I was saying, like every day looks different and that needs to energize you. And I'd say with that, the biggest piece of advice I would give is like, find a company whose mission and people you really believe in and you really love, because then it makes the fact that you're going to be asked to do a million different tasks and some of them might feel very small and menial and like there's no certainty in what your job is going to look like and what career progression looks like. But if you love what you're doing, that's actually very exciting. Like you want to work on a million different things. You want to work outside of your swim lanes. And that's something that I saw and I was so surprised by at Little Spoon. And that's something that we have at Sonni now.
And when both of you left your corporate roles, was there ever any hesitation that you had the ability, you could see that clear path of how you might be able to climb the ranks and what that would be, whereas what you've both gone and done has been very uncertain. Did that worry either of you at all?
I mean, I think it didn't worry me. Like I think, especially going to business school, you realize that there's a lot of different ways that you could make yourself very happy, like a lot of different career paths, trajectories, whether it's like, we could do lots of, like, we could go to a different startup or you could go to VC or you could go back to corporate. Like there's just a lot of, I think, it's really easy to feel like you're stuck in this, like you're locking in on a decision because it's a big decision. But at the end of the day, you do have like free will and you can go do whatever you want if you change your mind. And like, I think it's like making a big decision doesn't have to be the last decision you ever make.
Yeah, and it may feel so basic now that you've made those shifts to you guys to be saying that, but these are all just such little gems for people sitting there stuck to really unlock their mindset. So speaking of mindsets, are there any core limiting beliefs that either of you had to overcome in order to make these big shifts, whether it was how you viewed yourself personally or how you viewed careers?
I think that overcoming like kind of confidence / imposter syndrome has been big for me, especially like as I was working on this at Kellogg before I even had Ellie with me. Just like, what are you supposed to wear to meet with a manufacturer who doesn't fully believe you have a business and you actually kind of don't? Like there's just so many things where you're like, what am I actually doing right now? You have to really fully go after things like with the confidence that I think many times women don't really innately feel. I also think that something that kind of gave me some confidence, or at least I was like trying to tell myself this, is by going to business school, I was able to see like what everyone else was doing and what everyone else was thinking. And growing up, my dad is in business, but he never got his MBA. And so he was always kind of wondering like, what did they learn in business school? And kind of felt a little bit like curious / maybe like insecure about it. And by going, I was like, okay, you know what? No one here knows something that I don't know or that I didn't have exposure to. And so really just taking that and being like, I need to have all the confidence and like fake it till you make it. And so that was a big one for me.
I think for me, and we talk about this a lot, is also just letting go of the idea that everything needs to be perfect, that like everything about Sonni needed to be perfect before we launched. And now that every piece of work we have to do has to be perfect, I think we've just always had that mentality in high school, in college, at like your corporate jobs, like everything has to be so buttoned up and there's so much process behind it. But now we've hit a stage where it's like literally nothing can be perfect. Like we don't have time to make everything perfect. We just have to make decisions fast and move and build things and like figure it out as we go. And that's been a very hard mindset shift, but a really important one.
And how do you go about applying that, dropping the perfection off things?
I think we lean on each other a lot.
Yeah.
Like I will be working for stuff like too much detail in it, and I'll have Megan being like, Ellie, it's fine. Like it's fine. This doesn't need to be perfect.
I think
and
about
vice versa.
Financial model, like you could spend thousands of hours making our financial model just like every single detail perfect, but it's like what we need is the high level view of like if we get into 50 stores versus 100 stores, like how is that going to change all these different things? And so I think like it's everything from financial model just to like, different types of blogs and text and copy and whatever, like all of that I used to spend so long on, and like every comma was in the right place. And now it's just like, let's move on. Like we just have so much more to do.
Yeah, it's a very easy trap to fall into, especially when it's your baby that you're building and you want it to be as perfect as it can be to show the world. So back to business school. In hindsight, would both of you make that decision again to go to business school? Or now that I see nodding. Talk me through it.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I mean, I like 100% would. I think it was such an amazing experience. Like I met so many interesting people. I learned so much from them. I also made some of my dearest friends. So like personally, I can't imagine not having done that. And then also for career, I think it gave me the time and the reflection to really step back and understand like what I wanted to do, what motivated me, what my North Stars are, that I don't think I would have been able to be like as successful without. Stanford also focuses so much on like growing emotionally and as a person. And I think it was the 2 years where I got the most emotional development that I've ever had, that I use in my personal life all the time. And in work, like I used to be so conflict averse. Like I was so afraid of conflict. The idea of having to negotiate something like made me sweat. And now like I really enjoy it because then I just was able to frame it so differently. And I'm so much more successful in my job being able to have hard conversations, negotiate, and not be afraid of that. And it taught me finance and accounting, which I didn't know. And I really need to know now.
Can you give me a few of those things that you mentioned? You had huge personal growth that Stanford focused on. Is there a few things that you could say that would be helpful for people listening that were really important to you?
Yeah.
The negotiation piece, and was there anything else?
I think negotiating was one, having hard conversations that are also like interpersonal, like with friendships, with family. And I mean, we haven't had to have them, but I'm sure we'll have them as co-founders. And just being able to like not have those be scary and not have those be something that you avoid. And like, how do you make them productive? I think was really helpful. And I also think there was a lot of focus on taking a step back and picturing like, who do you want to be down the line? Like, what's most important to you? And then it's helped make every other decision in my life. If I know who I want to become, if I know the type of family member that I want to be, if I know what type of leader I want to be and what I want to be known for, it just like helps make all big decisions feel a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
yeah,
sense?
that makes total sense. A really good few years at business school then. Was it 2 years for both
2
of you?
years, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And what about your experience?
Yeah, building on what Ellie said, I was also just thinking of all the classes I took. Negotiations was actually huge. I used to think negotiating was just like being mean. Turns out that's not it at all, which has really come in handy for us, especially recently. I would say overall, like it also gave me the space to really work on Sonni. And I did start working on it at the beginning of my second year. And it like I had the space in my schedule to be doing it like essentially full time. But really like kind of take that time at the beginning to get the positioning right and the kind of like value prop and the products and the formulas and all of that. So that was extremely valuable to me. And also just like, you know, the social interpersonal, like it was such an amazing 2 years. I can't recommend it enough for anyone that's considering that can make it work in their life and that thinks they might be able to benefit from it. I made amazing friends and just had such incredible experiences that like truly feel like I've like fulfilled myself, like friendship wise, traveling, like just becoming like an adult, you know, who's doing all these things and learning all of these things. It was a very, very fulfilling 2 years.
Yeah, that's really cool to hear. It sounds like it's a great place to learn about life in terms of business, which is obviously a big part of life, but yourself personally. Because when you do go to college straight out of school, it's such a different experience, isn't it?
So
like
young.
you don't really know what's going on. It's,
Yeah.
you don't have a clear direction. So that's really helpful to understand because, you know, I hear a lot on either side of the coin about business school. Some people say going and starting a business is the best MBA you can get. But it's really nice to have that perspective from people who have also gone and started a business, but found that business school was really valuable. So, Megan, let's start with when Sonni first began to feel real. From what I understand, it started with a personal frustration around sunscreen. Can you take us back to when that idea first clicked, which was obviously while you're at business school, and walk us through the first steps that you took to test whether it could actually become a product?
Yeah. So I mean, as you can see, I'm very pale and I've been getting the worst sunburns my entire life. Like I try really hard not to, but like some of the photos of my sunburns are just insane. And everyone knows it about me. They're like, Megan is always sunburnt. So, I mean, I've always been very aware of it. I, you know, one day was walking to class at Kellogg and I, you know, had SPF on my face, like in my makeup and I think maybe something below that too. But I realized like my chest and shoulders are always getting burnt as well. And I was wearing like a tank top. And so I was getting burnt in those areas and I could tell. And I was like, I'm going to see this later today. And I started thinking like, what could I use that would like be a good product to not get all over my clothes, not make me smell like a pina colada all day. Like sunbum for me was not the answer because I didn't like smelling like that all day. And I couldn't really think of anything. And then that kind of like got me starting to think about the SPF space also because like I had this background in beauty and skincare. So I just felt like I was very aware of every brand in the space, but I was like, what is there if it's not, you know, one of these huge players? I also didn't like that so many of them had so many chemicals in them. And I didn't want to be wearing that daily because I was like, that's not going to make my skin look better for sure. And then around the same time, my older sister, who's a doctor, got melanoma taken out of her ear. And she takes really good care of her skin. She just like does everything right. I mean, she's literally a doctor. And I was like, if you got that taken out of your ear, and I knew she was putting sunscreen on her ears, which I never do, like I'm next up if I don't start changing my behavior. And so I started looking at like kind of all the different options in the space. And of course, there's some really great brands out there. But I, you know, bought all the products and tried them all. And I was like, I don't really like any of these. Like none of these are working for me. So I started looking into formulas and really looking into the science between chemical and mineral. Realized that mineral definitely like is where the whole space is kind of going, but that the texture, like really the experience of putting on sunscreen right now, is the blockade for most people for not wearing it. So I started looking into kind of formulas of mineral and met with every mineral SPF formulator in the US. When I met with one that actually was in Illinois, I was like, these are really, really good. They're definitely like, they're different, they're more advanced, their formula is amazing. And so that's when I realized like this could be a really, really interesting product to bring to market.
Did you do any market research or demand testing for the type of sunscreen you were planning to bring out?
For sure. So, I mean, being at Kellogg with a student body of like, 500 plus people, it was really easy to get a very large swath of people's perspectives. So I, sent out tons of surveys. I did a lot of like in-person interviews with people to learn, when are you putting on sunscreen? What products are you using? What do you like? What do you not like about them? Like, what is it that you could be looking for instead? And starting to really get to know, like, what are the average person's kind of issues with with sun protection right now? And then from there, I was able to kind of hone into like, it was aligning with the fact that most people want mineral, that men are really struggling with something to be wearing every day because their girlfriends tell them they need to be wearing something, but they're like, I don't really like what's at the drugstore and I don't want to buy something that's like so expensive. And so kind of gleaning all these insights together. And then I ended up had so many different samples. I'd gone at this point to every manufacturer and I had like literally 30 samples of different, like the top contenders from each. And I had like a testing party at my apartment where I invited people over and I had like some drinks and some, little hors d'oeuvres. And I was like, okay, everyone, this is going to be like quite an experience. I had like literally an 100-point survey. And I was like, I need you to go through every single one. You need to be very sharp. You need to be writing good insights. And everyone was really dialed in. And I had everyone try like one at a time. Then we'd like wipe it off like on their face. People were doing whole faces. It was a whole thing. And I ended up getting such good insights from that because I was literally having people test them and give like 5 different kind of insights about each of these formulas. And there was just such clear winners in this. And I was like, okay, I mean, it was lots of different skin tones, different skin types. And I was like, that is like such a off the charts kind of success story for some of these formulas that like we're definitely on the right path. And these are a lot better than what's on the market.
So one of the themes that came up in our pre-call was that if you don't do something now, you might never do it. Eliana, you mentioned a Stanford professor who said something that stuck with you. Not now often becomes not ever. Why did that idea resonate with you so much?
I think as he was voicing what I'd been saying to myself for so long, which was not now. I'd known for a while that I wanted to start my own company, but I kept being like, I'm not ready yet. Like, I need to go to business school. I need more work experience. I need to round out everything that I don't know. And then it kind of just dawned on me as he was saying that, like, I am so young. I'm graduating from my MBA. I don't have kids. I don't have a mortgage. Like, if I don't do it now, it's never going to be easier. In fact, it's going to be so much harder to take this leap. And I just saw it becoming never. And I was like, okay, this is my wake up call. If I want to do it, I need to do it now.
And Megan, you also talked about the timing element, particularly as women thinking about careers, family, and taking risks. How much did that influence your decision to start Sonni when you did?
I think that like generally women have 2 different timelines that they're always thinking about. And it's like your career and life timeline and then like your fertility timeline. And for me, I knew like I'm not going to start a business when I'm having kids. So it's either going to be before that or after that. And I knew after that, I'm going to have so much more responsibility and so much more going on and, people to take care of. And so I knew I personally wanted to start something before because I just knew that would be kind of my best shot. And so after business school, I was like, yeah, I could get a job and then eventually do something like this. But I really wanted to like pull the trigger and do my best shot at it. And like, you're never going to fully feel ready to start a business. But I think just doing it when the timing feels pretty good is probably your best shot.
Yeah, that's an interesting one between when the timing feels pretty good and when the timing feels really right. So especially for women who are listening and may feel that same pressure around timing, but aren't quite sure that they're ready yet, with the hindsight that you both have, having jumped into a business, maybe not feeling 100% ready, what would you say to them?
I think, yeah, it's just like you're never going to be like, oh my God, this is it. I have every piece of knowledge I know. I'm going to nail it. Like, it's never going to feel like that. So yeah, if you think it's like if it feels pretty right, it's probably the right time, and just go for it. And, if all else fails, there's always other options. It's not the end of the world. It's not embarrassing. Like, just give it your best shot. And of course, like with fertility stuff, like we're probably both going to have kids while we're running this company. And so we'll figure that out as we get there. But I think it's just about, doing what feels right to you.
That's awesome. Anything to add there?
No, I think you got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we all know that phrase that something's got to give. How are you both thinking about balancing life decisions and your work as founders?
Oh, God.
That's a hard one. I guess I can start.
Yeah.
I think a lot about, which was actually something that I learned in a class at business school called Engineering a Remarkable Life, where you like sat and engineered like what was most important to you. And that's often what I fall back on. And for me, it's like my career and my family are like the most important things to me. And so those are the ones that I'm like, okay, these are non-negotiables. I can't let these slip. Like I can't let my relationship with my sisters and how much I see my parents be something that falls to the wayside. And so then I think about like, okay, what for me, what can slip more is how active of a friend I am when I'm really busy, or how much travel I'm doing, or like for my health, like I need a lot of sleep. I won't let sleep shift as much. Will I skip a lot of workouts if I need to? Yes. But like that helps me just knowing what matters most. And I also recently heard a saying, which was that you can't be perfect at every role in your life every day. And I really tried to hold that to be true. So some days like I'm a really great founder and like I'm not as good of a friend or maybe even a sister, or I'm not as good at taking care of myself, and that's okay. And another day I'll be a really good sister and like I won't be as good of a founder, or I'll be really good at taking care of myself and not as good as everything else. And I just have to like, it's really hard, but I just need to hold that and be like, that's okay. And I just have to alternate what I'm really good at all the time.
That's super helpful. And when you did that exercise at business school, was that like writing things down? Because you seem to remember them really well. Obviously, you've figured that out. But is that something you have to refer back to sometimes?
Yeah, we wrote it all down. It was like the assignments every week were different things that you had to write down. It was writing down like what's most important to you, what relationships are most important to you, and then comparing that to actually how you spend your time and how you spend your money, and do those line up? And then we did like a big paper at the end that was like, what do you want your life to be? What do you want to be known for? All of that. And so I actually have those on my computer. And so every so often I refer back to them, but I also think we did it a lot, that it's ingrained in me. And I also think this is where it helps to have a co-founder who you have so much trust in, who it's easier to be like, and who we know each other so well. Like if my sister has a baby and like sometimes she needs help, like he has to go to the doctor and she's really busy, and I can call Megan and be like, hey, my sister, who is your best friend? Like I need to go be there for my nephew.
I'm like, go.
And she's like, go. What meetings do we need to reschedule? And it really works. Or vice versa. I'll be like, Megan, you said that you haven't worked out yet this week, or you haven't slept. Like, can you go?
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be fine. And
Ellie tried adding to our daily check-in. Honestly, did add to our daily check-in. We talk every day, like just to go through decisions. Like, have you gone outside today? And I am very disappointed to tell you many times I have not. So working on that for sure.
Yeah, so tell me how you think about balancing things so that you find an equilibrium that suits you.
I would say this is a work in progress for me. Last year, like 2025, I was reflecting on this at the new year. In 2025, my one and only goal, everything else fell to the wayside, was like launch Sonni. Like it was just, I was like, I've been working on this for 2 years. It needs to launch this year, and like I will stop at nothing. 2026 is growing Sonni and growing myself. And so I'm allowed back into the picture. And so trying to manage, being as good of a friend as I want to be, being a great family member and girlfriend and, co-founder, and taking care of myself. So that's been more of a priority this year, and I'm a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's so much to manage, especially when this is something that goes 7 days a week and God knows how many hours a day.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to hear you put a lot of stuff on the back burner by the sounds of it in order to get Sonni launched, because that was your priority at the time. Is that right?
Yeah. I think I can get really dialed into things, and I was just like, because it was very delayed. Like I had pushed the launch date because of delays in packaging and formulation and all of these things. And I was so fed up with the delays. And so I was like, no, it's launching. It ended up launching September 30th, which was great. But I was just like, everything else fell to the wayside. like working every weekend. I didn't take days off for a couple months. Like it was just chaos.
Yeah, and I mean, that's why we've got a product out today.
Exactly.
Because it has to happen, and that's the something that's got to give. So I think it's interesting for people to hear that can be a period of time, and then you can look to change that and swing different things in the balance, and how to think about that, as you mentioned, Eliana, is really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so to the co-founder story, which I'm excited about, that you guys have just touched on. At what point did you realize that it shouldn't be just Megan building Sonni, and that it made sense to do it together?
Yeah. Well, I'll just start by saying that that my summer between the 2 years of business school, I actually I did my summer internship at Great Many, which is a new hair growth startup in New York. They've actually just extended their locations. But the founder is Michael Pollack, who was the former founder of Heyday. And I was able to intern with him right as he was starting the business. And so it was really interesting as a second time, very successful founder, watching him make those kind of first 3 months of decisions around how to build the business. And one thing that he just hammered into my head was like, you need an amazing co-founder. And like, it is a very lonely job to be doing alone. And so even before I'd really decided on Sonni, I knew if I do something, I need to have a co-founder. And so I looked, far and wide at Kellogg. I didn't find anyone that really felt like a perfect fit. And then I kind of came to terms with doing it alone. And so I was, still in the early stages, like nothing was certainly out in the world, but I was, just struggling through ops and finance and all of these things. I ended up like doing a friends and family round, and it was all okay, but I was very lonely, and I was really realizing that the work was becoming a lot bigger than just me. And that's when Ellie comes in.
Yeah. And then I guess I came to Megan to first as like sisterly advice, just be like, you graduated business school and you decided to do this. Like, I think I want to take the leap. How did you think about it? And then asked her if I could help with Sonni, just to figure out like what it felt like to be on the ground floor and start building it. And I fell in love. I was like, this is so fun. I love the product we're building. I really believe in it. We had so much fun working together.
Yeah.
And we were like, this partnership is just perfect. Like, I think we can do this.
It took about a week of Ellie working with me and just like learning about Sonni for me to be like, okay, that's it. I need you full time. How can we make this work? And so, yeah, I was just like, she's the perfect foil. Like, not only do we have such an amazing shared trust and like we've known each other for over 10 years, but like she truly has like the perfectly opposite skill set and interests than I do. Like, I would prefer do anything than fill out like an operations form for our 3PL. Ellie is like so good at it and like loves it. And like will text me from the plane being like, I am cooking on our inventory. And I'm like, I hate inventory. So she's just such a perfect kind of foil to what I already had.
So when you two felt, okay, cool, this is right, how did you approach that decision, and what conversations did you have before committing to building it together? Because obviously a co-founding relationship can either be absolutely amazing or absolutely terrible.
Totally. I mean, yeah, so many businesses don't work out because the co-founder relationship fails. What I knew from the get-go is that we had this, shared history, shared trust, our families are friends, like just so much kind of, and that also raised the stakes because it's like we can't have a blow up, nightmare and tear apart these two families that, we love each other. And so honestly, I think like what it came down to was just having really, really good communication and conversations up front. We had like a co-founder agreement that was more just kind of outlining like our two different swim lanes, what we kind of managed, how that would all go, like kind of who makes which decisions. And just like at the end of the day, we spend more time together than anyone else in our lives. And so really just having like shared respect and like love for each other. And like if someone's having a crash out, the other one is helping them through it, even if it's like, totally not even related to what we're dealing with that day. I'm so happy I didn't start working with someone who wasn't Ellie, because I think that working with someone who's like not perfectly aligned would probably set the business back further. And I think like it also would make my life so much worse. Really waiting for it to be Ellie was so, I'm so happy that with that decision and that like process. Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'll also add, like, I think going into this, because we'd had our experiences from business school and like previous work, like we were able to come in really rationally and be like, when we are working on Sonni, like we are co-founders who are friends. Like we aren't, and we try to lead that way versus being like we are friends who are co-founders. So it helps whenever we talk about business decisions to be like, let's act like business people and co-founders. But then at the same time, we have all of the trust in each other. So like making decisions becomes a lot easier. Supporting each other becomes a lot easier. Like I know without a doubt that like Megan is always thinking about what's best for the company, but she's also always thinking about what's best for me as a person, which helps each other, because I will say that the stress of being a founder is like the most existential, deepest stress I have ever felt in my entire life. And having a co-founder who like helps carry that, and you just know that they're carrying the same stress, but they're also thinking about you, and that it's like, you know, if something slips, like they're gonna be there to catch you and make you feel better about it.
Yeah.
Helps.
Totally.
Because it is like, it's really a hard thing to do. So you like need a good partner in it.
It is really important. I'm very happy that Michael Pollock was like, it's the most important decision of the whole business.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy.
Yeah, because we go through big emotions together.
Yeah, we do.
And even like when we're going back to the question of like letting things slip, like there's also so much more guilt, I feel like, as an emotion around being a founder. Like if the days that I'm, you know, less good as a founder because I'm trying to do other stuff, like I feel so guilty. Like when I'm on a flight and I don't have Wi-Fi, I'm like, oh my God, I'm letting down our entire business.
We're trying to lessen the guilt.
We're trying to lessen the guilt, but it's hard.
It is hard.
And so it helps when you have a founder who you know also cares for you. And I can be like, Meg, I'm freaking out. Like I feel so bad that I wasn't able to do this. And she can be like, it's fine. Like you were going through something, and I'm not like, oh, she's going to be mad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's nice to have a rational co-pilot, because there's always times where you're going to be irrational, and it's nice to have someone to sort of see it from an out of emotional perspective and
totally
pull you back. Okay, so one of the best decisions that you made was bringing on Ellie as a co-founder, which I love to hear. What other decisions have been instrumental to Sonni's success so far?
I think like definitely I'm very grateful that I put so much thought into the products, because for a consumer business, like a consumer products business, at the end of the day, you have the products. That is what you're selling in every marketing piece, every partnership, like everything is around these 4 products that we have. And that's what we have to work with. And that's what most of our money is tied up in. And so I'm so happy with like the level of thoughtfulness in every piece of that product, every like, you know, piece of copy on the packaging, everything. Because I think that set us up for like being able to build on these products and grow the business without having to go back and fix mistakes from before.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is we have invested so much in relationships, whether it's with our advisors or investors or employees or friends or what have you. And it's been really, really positive. Like it makes our work so much more enjoyable that we get so excited and we feel personally invested in everyone we work with. But also it's given amazing opportunities. Like we were able to get our feature at the Knicks game in MSG because our amazing banker, Mason from Chase.
We love you, Mason.
Got us that opportunity. And we've already been able to renegotiate a lot of our contracts, which like helps our business, and our manufacturer pulls us up in the production schedule and we get to produce like a month before we thought we were going to. And it's just been so fruitful to see that like if you invest in the relationships and the people you're working with, like it really helps.
Being nice and being kind to people goes a really long way, it turns out.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you guys have spent money on so far that in hindsight you would not spend so much or invest in that?
The first thing I think of is like quantities of things. So like we got gift boxes made for the holidays, but like we got so many gift boxes made because that was like the minimum quantity they do. So now we have gifts for the next 5 years. Like it's great.
I think maybe some of our like marketing spend really early, I think we went in with the perspective and like some advice from people that was like, you need to start spending a lot, whether it's on your paid channels or on PR or on like influence or whatever, to like start the business and get the word of mouth, because so much of a direct to consumer or like a consumer business is marketing. And then we realized pretty quickly like, okay, actually we should pull back our spend and like spend less and really thoughtfully until we know exactly like what the right answer is and like how to do things, and then scale up our spend. Mm-hmm. And I think we made that pivot pretty quickly, and now it's been incredibly helpful. But that's also like, it's such a hard question to be able to answer. Like,
Yeah.
how are you supposed to know? Like, you don't want to spend too little and not get your name out there. And you don't want to spend too much until you know how to do it.
Spending on paid ads, really, like, you can feel like you're burning money. And it also takes a while to find your footing. And so we've already switched agencies. And we have a new agency that we think we're very excited about them. But I think it's very easy to get caught in the trap of just like burning money on ads online. Because it's like literally like a casino. Like you just throw money at it and see what happens. And like it's all, I mean, what we found was it was just all over the place. Like it was very hard to actually find insights from what we were spending on because it was so chaotic. I don't know. We're now much more controlled, and I'm very excited about this new step.
Yeah.
We didn't do the chaos for very long, but while we did, we were like, this is out of control.
I love the reference to a casino. That's so accurate. So if you could go back and both give yourself one piece of advice, and it might be something that we've already talked about before making these career shifts, what would it be?
Are we talking which career shift?
Anyone, just anything that you think would be, something that you'd go back and tell yourself.
I think for a long time when I was at Estée Lauder, I really wanted to start a business, but I was like, I can't do that. Like, you just, like, I'm just me. Like, I can't just like go figure something out like that. And I think in today's world, like everything is Googleable. Everything is ChatGPT-able. Like you can figure out anything you put your mind to these days, it feels like, especially just with business things. And I think I would just tell myself, like, have the confidence. Like you have the confidence, so just like use it. Go after it.
I love that. What about you?
Oh gosh. I think that in my careers, as much as I've been able to like make the pivots, I always find myself I'm like an over optimizer. Like I want to try to optimize every part of my life for a long time. And so every time I'd make a pivot, I'd be like, okay, well, that's what it means for now. But what's this job going to look like in 5 years and in 10 years and when I'm having a family and all of this stuff. And I just get so paralyzed by the stress of like, what's everything going to look like? And I think I would go back and be like, trust your gut, make the change. Like you will find something great and it will be great. And like things will work out as and when they should. So stop freaking out about the future and just focus on like taking it a day at a time.
Oh, guys, those are both fantastic. That's such a nice way to wrap up. I would love to know a book, podcast, or resource from each of you that have been instrumental in either making these shifts or building a business or your mindset.
This is so cliche, but the podcast, How I Built This, like I used to listen to it just like nonstop. Like I probably listened to every episode from like 2016 to like 2022.
It's a good podcast.
It's a great podcast, but what's awesome is if you listen to it for long enough, you start seeing all the through lines. And I think it also like does a pretty great job of explaining just like some of the hard things that happen early on that are, not the most glamorous. And like, I always think of Vicky Tsai from Tatcha, who was, fulfilling out of her garage and living with her parents in their basement. Like that, there were many days where that's what my apartment just felt like, a fulfillment center and / laboratory. We're filling samples. Like there are so many things that are not glamorous and aren't just like you sitting at some gorgeous desk, like in a beautiful office. So I think like that helped me kind of internalize, like, it's going to be kind of chaotic and rough at the beginning, but like, then you could actually build it into something that people get really excited about. So I love that podcast.
Yeah. I would say mine is probably, can I do a person?
Absolutely.
I'd say mine's probably my dad. And I think he's really helped me with like every shift in my life, from his mindset of like, if you don't like your job, you should switch your job. Like that really helped give me the courage to leave McKinsey, leaving Little Spoon. He was also really focused on like, don't have a regret. If you want to go to business school, it'll be really interesting. Like things will work themselves out, and like really supported that. And even going to Sonni, like I called him so many times and I was like, I'm really excited to do this. I think it's going to be amazing. But then I would freak out about the future. I'd be like, what's it going to look like? What's this risk going to be? I'm not going to be able to pay myself as much as I could at any other job. And what about when I have kids at the job and whatever? And he was always like, Ellie, breathe. Like, this is an amazing opportunity. You've always wanted to do this. Like, you should take the risk. And he obviously knows and loves Megan and her whole family. And our dad's our friend. And so he was like, when else are you going to be able to start a company with Meg? Like, you're not going to be able to start a company with Meg. This opportunity is amazing. Like, you will figure it out as you go. You're not going to have kids for a long time. Relax. Like, it's gonna be fine. And I think having that voice of reason, also coming from like a parent who you inevitably are like, they want the best for me. And like, if anyone's going to be risk averse about me blowing up my life, it's going to be my parents. And like, his calmness and assurance really helped me.
And now we've had investors be like, well, like, we love Sonni, but like also can't wait to see what business you and Ellie start next. And I was like, oh my God, is this going to be a lifetime? So maybe your dad's wrong.
Yeah.
The dynamic duo.
Exactly.
And I like that sort of pulled back to, if not now, then when, and taking the leap, even if you don't feel quite ready. But obviously you were both very prepared, which I like. So finally, where can we find Sonni, and what is happening next with Sonni?
So you can find it at sunnyskin.com. And then we on Instagram and TikTok at Sonni Skin.
And at Sonni Squad.
Sonni Squad,
Which is our
founder account that Ellie absolutely kills it. I'm not as good at making content. And what's next for Sonni? I mean, so many things. We're getting into retail. So lots of, boutiques, hopefully soon in New York, but right now, not any yet. And we're getting into like, hotels, like hospitality, that type of thing. So that's a big push right now. We also are going to the dermatologist conference. It's the American Academy of Dermatology annual conference at the end of March. And we are hoping to really meet lots of derms that want us in their office. And we are really excited about our first summer as a sun care brand.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be doing pop-ups and lots of other things like that. Anything else I'm missing?
No.
Yeah.
A lot of exciting things.
And what about the two of you? Do you have a place where people can follow your personal journeys?
That's a great question. I mean, Sonni Squad right now
Squad.
is really like our personal journeys. But
Perfect.
Yeah. It's the best place to see us in action.
Amazing. Okay, well, thank you both so much for your time. It's been so nice to learn more about both of you and go deep into your shifts, and then of course Sonni, and very excited to get my hands on some at some point. And when I come back to New York, I'll be strutting around the streets looking for in all the shops, and that'll be probably after summer. So really excited to see how you guys go with the first summer as well.
Amazing. Thanks
Thank
so much.
you so much. This has been amazing.